One of the things that I like most about doing haunted houses is the special effects makeup. It's pretty simple, just using some liquid latex and a standard makeup wedge. Now, when using liquid latex, you need to be careful that you do not have a that you have a latex allergy. Some people are allergic to the latex and they break out in a pretty bad rash. Unfortunately, this is something that a person can get allergic to the latex. So you take your liquid latex and your makeup wedge and you blot and apply the latex thinly and evenly. And you're going to do several layers of this to build it up. The brand that I use is Ben Nye. I use Ben Nye for just about all of my makeup. It's one of the top brands that I'm aware of. I'm sure there are other excellent brands out there, but I prefer Ben Nye. So as you apply it, you can see it goes on with a light tan color. As it dries, it will recede in color and actually match skin tone pretty well. So we're going to fast forward through this as I apply it because it does take some time for it to dry. But keep an eye and we'll slow down when it's time to do something else. A point to note is that in the liquid latex it is dissolved in ammonia. So if you're putting on yourself or an actor and you put it near the eyes, the ammonia as it evaporates can be rather irritating, as I just found out or just experienced. So be careful as you get close to the eye because that ammonia vapor is really strong and can cause some discomfort on your actor, and you don't want that. So as these layers dry, I'm going to show you another trick that's not used for the cuts like I did, but to give the skin a more zombie or burnt appearance. And again, it's using the liquid latex, but it's also using toilet paper or tissues or even corn flakes. Apparently works well. I don't have any corn flakes, so I'm going to use the tissue paper. And what that's going to do is it's going to adhere the little clumps of toilet paper to my face, and when I make them rough and bumped, then it'll appear that my face has taken on those characteristics. So the same thing, you want to take your standard makeup wedge and your liquid latex and apply a layer of the latex and then adhere your toilet paper or your tissues or whatever other material you want to try to use, be it corn flakes or other breakfast cereal, or use your imagination to come up with something new. Apply that on there, not so evenly, and then apply some more liquid latex on top of that. So you want to let it dry until it's no longer tacky at all. Touch it with your fingers, it should just feel like skin. If you have it applied to you, you can feel that there's definitely something on your skin. And you can see that there is a shine and a little discoloration. Now for haunted attractions, generally once you've applied the liquid latex or whatever effect you're putting on, you would then apply a base coat of makeup color. Again, Ben Nye, the Cadaver Gray or Death Blue Gray are good colors for that, in addition to your highlights and your shadowing. But for right now, I'm just going to do it in my regular skin tone. And you do want to apply a sealant between, once you've put on liquid latex, you want to apply the sealant because in the parts of your skin that doesn't have the latex, the makeup will go on with a slightly different color than the areas that do have the latex. So that sealant put over the entire face will make the color of the makeup match. It's like a primer, like if you're painting your house. It makes the layer of makeup match better and the latex less apparent through the makeup. So as you can see, the white toilet paper stands out on my face. And maybe I will apply some makeup to cover that up. But now comes the fun part. Once you have 5 or 6 layers, or some of the other latexes are thicker, and you don't need quite as many layers. But the thinner latex, you can spread it out much thinner, and so that there's less of an edge between your skin and where you've applied the latex. So what you need to do is you need to get something kind of pointy. I have a little craft poker here, just a toothpick will work, bobby pin, whatever you have, something pointy. And you're actually going to dig into the latex. And the latex is kind of sticky, so when you put it on there, it grips pretty well, so you don't have to worry about pushing through your skin. And obviously you can tell if you're getting too far and digging into your skin, because it's going to hurt. Otherwise it just feels kind of weird. So you dig in and you just get the point in and start pulling. Now if you want a wound to come across here, and that's how I applied the latex, is in sort of across my cheek here, you start your wound and you poke in and you pull out, and you want to slowly tear through the latex bit by bit in a line, making that wound. And as it tears, the latex will retract and give the appearance of bunched up skin, because it will have with the makeup, it will have the same color as the rest of your skin. Now you don't want to go all the way to the edge, because then you'll have 2 pieces flopping open. Instead you want to have, for my technique, I like to have an open one like this, where there's latex on either side, on the front and the back. And I'll do the same thing on my forehead. I applied a bit more on my forehead so I can go all the way across. And the same thing, just poke in and start that hole and just start ripping that hole across. Actually, you can see how sticky this is. It's not even staying open. So, grabbing my small bottle of castor sealer, I'm going to go ahead and apply a thin layer of castor sealer to that latex so it doesn't stick quite as much. My guess is this is primarily just castor oil, but it does the job, and it's formulated specifically for this. Again, not trying to advertise for Ben Nye, but I've been very pleased with their product, so I use it. The more ragged and uneven you can make it, the more gruesome this wound is going to look, with little pieces of skin flopping over, and makes a pretty good effect. So you can see that this is a nice big gash. Now there's 2 ways that I dress these, because right now it just looks like I've got a really bad sunburn and my skin is peeling off. So the first thing that I can do is apply makeup. And for haunted houses, I go with a mix of red and black to make it look like decaying flesh on the inside. The red can be a bit too bright, and this is actually clown makeup, so it's a very bright red, but you can always adjust the color of the makeup by mixing in other colors. And you want to get in underneath the skin. You can see that the tip of the brush has actually gone in behind, and you want to get all that. And if you miss and go on the outside a little bit, that's fine, because in a wound like this, you're going to have a lot of blood. So a little colored makeup around the edge is not going to detract from the illusion at all. Clean off your brush, move on to the next color. The black gives it a bit of a decayed look, like there's unhealthy flesh underneath the top layer of skin. So I've gone and applied way too much black, so I can just as easily go back and apply more red to bring the color back up. And I can even wipe some off. There we go. It's all about blending. Getting the colors just right and matched and without a hard edge. So that'll be the inside of my, the flesh inside of my face. The other effect that I like to do is with a product known as Fresh Scab, and this is more of a jelly-like material that is good and dark red in color. So when you apply it and you spread it out, it's got some texture to it, and if you're not touching it, it has the impression of a fresh scab, freshly congealed blood. It's a bit darker than the stage blood, which I'm going to apply later, but it's glossy, glisteny, nice and fresh. Depending on the effect you're going for, if you're going for someone who's just been in a car accident or just been attacked by a murderer, and the wound is still kind of fresh, then you want to go with this because it's got that glossy look. If you're going for decaying dead, someone who's come back from the dead, the living dead, then perhaps the darker, less glossy, more dried out look of this effect is what you want to go for. So the next thing that I have is stage blood, and this is a staple of the horror industry. There are some movies that go through gallons and gallons and gallons of stage blood. My technique is to use it judiciously because it is such a statement. If you use less of it, when you do use it, it will be more effective. So I like to go on either edge and you just build it up a little bit until it drips down on its own, and let the stage blood take its own course, its own natural course, and it will look more effective as an actual wound that's bleeding on its own. And this stuff is water soluble. It's corn syrup with coloring and propylene glycol, and they even added some flavor to it, so I guess it's non-toxic, which is good if you have a big mouth wound that you want to dress. And then a little bit along the edges. Now you can see that it beads up on the latex, so having the makeup on top will prevent that from happening. So, like I said, use this judiciously. I don't think it will stain. It's water soluble. I haven't had anything stained yet, but I've been pretty quick to clean everything up if I drop something. So let me go ahead and keep this from dripping in my eyeballs. Looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do now is apply some coloring to this area. In fact, I'll use all three. What I'll do is I'll put in some black. Maybe this is a burn or an old wound that wasn't cared for. So in the crevices, in the lower parts, I apply some black. And the more irregular that your makeup can be and the more blended it can be, the more effective it will be. Generally in nature there are no straight lines, there are no solid lines, everything is fairly blended. So I'll add some red to this. Kind of mix it in with the black here and there. So once you've applied your makeup, when you use a brush or if you have the grease sticks, you're going to have irregularities, you're going to have hard lines, hard points of contrast. You can see exactly where the brush strokes were. So this is where you get your hands dirty in makeup, and this works well for the shading and the highlighting, which I'll talk about later. You just go in and blot. And that keeps the dark areas and the light areas still dark and light, but it mixes it enough that it's no longer a hard contrast, which is what we're trying to avoid. So without the entire face makeup, it loses some of the effect. However, this is how we do it in the haunted house industry. The big difference between the haunted house industry makeup and movie makeup is that movie makeup will have a dedicated makeup artist for one character, and they'll spend hours before shooting getting the makeup, especially special effects makeup. Whereas in the haunted industry, you have maybe 2 minutes and you have a line of people waiting for you. Airbrushes work great. They apply a nice even coat of makeup very quickly, faster than you can with a makeup wedge. And then special effects makeup, we just put it on as best as we can. Fortunately, in the haunt, the lighting is poor. That's intentional. And the time that you're exposed to each character is generally very short. 5-10 seconds at the most, unless they're a primary character, in which case they'll probably do their own makeup and be able to spend an hour on it. So I hope you enjoyed learning how to do this. If you go out and get your own makeup for this coming Halloween, I'd love to see what you do. Feel free to comment on us on YouTube, make videos and respond to my videos on YouTube. The more interaction, the better I'll have, the better gauge I'll have to see what you, the audience, wants to see from our haunted house. So thank you for watching this. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you on the next one. Okay, now comes the really fun part. When the night is over and you've done your scares, you get to take this off. And surprisingly, it comes off pretty well unless you get it on your hair. Then it hurts a little bit. But it just peels right off.